Welcome to the Nicholas 11X12 technology. Today we're looking at the Samsung S24B300H 24-inch LCD LED backlit monitor. The exact model name being LS24B300HS/EN. Alright, here's the box. Again, this is a Samsung monitor, a LED monitor. Full HD 1080p resolution along with some decent features. That's a 24-inch screen, and on this side you can see the model name again, which is S24B300H along with the model code. Now let's skip the unboxing process and get right to the content. Good, in this plastic bag you get your quick setup guide and cables. One VGA and one cable that leads into a power adapter. Now here is the power adapter. This end goes into the monitor itself. And that's the part that goes onto the monitor stand here, which is a basic round one. And here's the monitor itself, but before we move on, let's get to the specifications. The Samsung LS24B300HS/EN is an LCD monitor with a LED backlight. This is a 24-inch screen and that are 61 centimeters. A TN Plus panel is used and the resolution of this monitor would be 1920 by 1080 at 60 Hz. It has a brightness level of 250 candela per square meter, and the static contrast ratio is 1000 by 1, and the dynamic contrast is just labeled as Mega DCR. The monitor has a typical response time of 5 milliseconds, and the viewing angles are 170 degrees horizontal and 160 degrees vertical. The VGA and HDMI signal inputs are present, and the typical power consumption according to Samsung are 30 watts and 0.3 watts in standby mode. Now once I've put everything together, here it is. A standard glossy plastic frame is used, but the screen itself is matte, which I prefer to be honest. Down here's a nice Samsung logo, and the monitor comes with a quite modern looking stand. The whole monitor is very lightweight actually. Tilting this monitor is very easy, but you will require a little bit of force here. The back looks very unique. Unfortunately, you will not be able to wall mount the screen. Here's your power connection, a single HDMI and a single analog connection called VGA. Unfortunately, there's no DVI connection, and that can be a major drawback for specific people. The overall build quality of this monitor, well, doesn't seem to be all that bad, but you quickly notice there are some really cheap sections. However, the majority of people will really appreciate the slim design of the monitor. Below on the right are 6 touch-sensitive buttons, which are there to set up your preferred colors, brightness, contrast, and so on. That's how you turn your monitor on and off. I personally really like the very simple and categorized OSD menu. The sensor buttons itself are very responsive, and that's great. But let's finally talk about the picture quality. Let's start with a simple gray solid background. That's where I notice problems. Do you see the yellow tint on the upper left hand corner? It's very strong there, and it's present a little bit below as well, and even on the top right beside the left corner. It's not that bad, but it's quite distracting, especially if you're looking into a 100% accurate colors on the whole screen. I'm not quite sure what is causing this problem, but my guess would be the backlight. Now I'll show you some colors, the intensity, brightness, contrast, and the power consumption. So the Samsung LS24B300HS/EN is a pretty good monitor for the price. It has a normal but good enough response time for gaming, and I didn't notice any ghosting at all, and I'm sure you also will not notice anything like that too. The brightness is very good too, and the power consumption is very low. However, the stand is a little wobbly, but this isn't a big problem whatsoever. But something that is a real problem is the yellow tint. On the top left hand corner of the screen, there are yellow clouds visible, while exactly on the opposite side, the color looks cooler. So you get a total of 3 color tones on the screen, which is bad. You simply can't correct that with any calibration software, because once you concentrate on fixing the yellow tint in the upper left hand corner, the rest of the image looks too blue, for example. The color reproduction is another thing I didn't like on this monitor. The color somehow just seemed animated, but not real, if you know what I mean. However, there's the possibility of just me having the yellow tint problem on my unit. Yours might as well just work without any problems. So, long story short, get this monitor if you're looking for a cheap monitor for basic office tasks or gaming, where color reproduction doesn't matter very much. If you're looking to mount your screen onto the wall, this definitely is not the monitor you're looking for, since it doesn't have the bezel mount. The yellow tint and poor color accuracy makes this monitor really bad for my personal use, which is content creation. Pros are, or should I say pro is, good for gaming and office work. Cons are not the best color accuracy, and there's the yellow tint in the upper left area of the screen. And because these two things are really important in my opinion, I can only give this monitor a 4 out of 10, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.